would aliens look like humans?
Imagine for a moment that you are face to face with a genuine extraterrestrial, a not of this world creature, at a time when the search for alien life is over because humankind has finally discovered it. After years, decades, and perhaps even centuries of searching in earnest, we've finally proven that we are not alone. In your mind's eye, what do you see? How do you picture this meeting that's taking place? And actually, are you really face to face with whatever it is you envision? Does its face...
Okay, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think that aliens, if they had a similar environment to us and they got just as lucky as humans did, then they probably would look similar to us. It just makes sense. You know, like there's a reason why we developed how we did. So but I think that if there is life in the universe, the more abundant type of life would be just like fucking micro bacterias and shit. But single-celled organisms.
Face bear any resemblance to your own? Or ultimately, would alien life take on an altogether different form? This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, would aliens look like humans? Do you need the big questions answered? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more thought-provoking content. For centuries, humans have been captivated, perhaps even obsessed, by the idea of extraterrestrial life. From ancient civilizations gazing at the stars to modern space exploration, the question of whether aliens exist and what they might look like...
Actually, I think this is exactly how our first alien interaction would look like.
If they do, has continually spurred us. As such, the global cultural image of an alien has evolved significantly.
If an alien looks like that, then wow. Like,
over
what the
the
fuck?
years, and in general, what we imagine has moved away from the traditional humanoid figures of classic science fiction towards a more diverse...
See, but I don't think they're gonna look like that. Like, why do we always depict them looking like this? Like a big ass head, you know, like weird looking face. You know, I think they look weird, but they're not gonna look like this. Their skin is probably gonna be like our skin. It's not gonna be... It doesn't look like... It's not gonna look like cobblestone. You know? Like, what the fuck?
Scientifically informed expectation. In this video, we'll look at the historical fascination with alien life, explore the shift in our perceptions, and discuss various theories and studies that challenge the notion that extraterrestrials would ever resemble human beings. For some, the seeming possibility of life beyond our planet is deeply rooted in ancient times, and arguably in our development of stories based on gods, unknown forces of nature, and apparently spiritual events. From ancient myths and religious texts to early astronomy, humans have pondered the existence of beings from other worlds, largely in a bid to make sense of the unknown. But of course, in later years, and especially in the 19th and 20th centuries, the concept of an alien morphed from a hazy unknowableness into something that the overwhelming majority of scientists believe could, even should, exist. Now, the search for alien life has little to do with answering the unknown and everything to do with satisfying statistical probability. To modern minds, in a universe of perhaps infinite variation, it would seem as though something else must be out there. Nevertheless, our first...
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely... Okay, I saw a video of Cardi B on Hot Ones. I watched it, and she was like, I just know. There's no aliens. There's no way. Oh, blasphemy. No aliens. That is such a bunch of spoiled baloney. I've never heard such dog poo in my life. That is so wrong. Like, okay, of course, I can't prove her wrong, because I don't know that aliens exist. You know? But come on. Let's take the evidence. We're one planet out of... Let's look at up how many planets are in the galaxy. How many... Or not even the galaxy, the universe. How many planets are in the galaxy? Just, okay, 100 billion planets in the galaxy alone. How many planets are in the universe? 2 trillion planets! 2 trillion planets in the observable universe. There's no way that there's no life forms. There's no possible way that there's no life forms anywhere. I mean, damn. If that is the case, then we are the actual needles in the haystack. There is no, I mean, that would, I would be I would be upset if we were alone. I would be very upset. That'd be upset. Wait, what the fuck? There are over 700 quintillion. Oh. So what's with the fucking conundrum here? What do you mean? 2 trillion? What does this mean? 700 quintillion. That sounds like a big fucking... Brayden, get out of here.
Presentations of what an alien might look like
you go to
somewhat
sleep.
primitive. And the picture of generally humanoid extraterrestrials gained traction with the rise of science fiction.
Brayden, that's what you look like. You see this motherfucker? Damn.
And the picture of generally humanoid extraterrestrials.
That is what you look like, Brayden. Right there.
Terrestrials gained traction with the rise of science fiction, again in the 19th and 20th centuries. Early pioneering writers served to shape our mental image of what aliens might look like. But almost all of the examples available in the 18 and 1900s weren't that far removed.
Like, of course they're gonna look like us. If they have a similar planet, if they have similar elements, like if it's wildly different, then probably they would have different adaptations to look different, right? But if they have similar living conditions, they're gonna look very similar to us.
From the form that our own species takes. Eyes, sometimes more than 2, and often enlarged, but eyes all the same. A mouth or some kind of opening through which to communicate, usually front and center of the face. Limbs, again.
To communicate? What a moron. What is this guy talking about? To eat? We have a mouth to eat. Not to communicate. I mean, like, communication is second, right?
And sometimes more than 2 arms and 2 legs that we're used to, but still carrying out effectively the same functions as our own do. Most of the earliest visualizations took on an invariably similar look. Today, that's changed, and any depiction of little green men or lanky grays with oversized heads now feels pretty dated. The fact is that as scientific understanding has improved, so too have the representations of what an alien might really be like. Working from a greater-than-ever knowledge of the conditions required for life to exist, scientists increasingly challenge the traditional, somewhat tired, anthropocentric ideas, and sometimes even the very fundamentals are called into question. For example, an increasing number propose that life elsewhere could exist based on elements other than carbon. While carbon is the undisputed building block for life on Earth,
I think that the other one he's going to talk about is silicone.
Silicon has been considered in particular as a potential alternative. On Earth and in humans, carbon is so crucial and prevalent because it's an extremely versatile element. It is a defining feature of all of the most important things that make us, from DNA to sugar, protein to muscle. However, we know that although it's dominant here, it isn't necessarily the same everywhere else. And silicon is usually touted as a comparably effective base material that could be just as crucial to other alien instances of life.
That would be fucking wild. That would be so cool.
It then follows that life forms with a silicon-based biochemistry.
I think that we shouldn't pay attention to that because imagine humans are becoming smarter and smarter and they still haven't managed to just travel to Mars. I mean, I don't really think those creatures could be smarter and get the ability to travel to us. I don't think they would be smarter than us. Well, regardless, I think you could be, like, we could travel to Mars, right? Like, with the technology that we have right now, we could absolutely travel to Mars. But we are not, it's more of like a moral thing, right? Because there's no coming back once you leave. But we could travel there right now if we wanted to. The only problem is everyone on there is, more than likely gonna probably die. Or they're gonna die on Mars for sure, but they're probably gonna, it's a fucking flip of the coin whether they're able to actually survive on that planet.
It might have, probably would have, entirely different physical structures and properties. Humanoid, they almost certainly are not. Elsewhere, and research on extremophiles, organisms that can thrive in the most extreme conditions on Earth, has further expanded our understanding of the potential for aliens. Increasingly, we must seriously consider that despite all we've come to expect of earthly life, living organisms could well exist in any number of environments that were previously thought inhospitable. These might include places with high radiation levels, extreme temperatures, or intense pressure. This line of thinking is in part supported by our growing understanding of what's possible within a star's habitable zone. We know that this is the region within which conditions might allow for liquid water, but we also know, thanks to growing research, that the surface conditions of worlds in a habitable zone are often very different to our own. It would appear then again that Earth's way is not the only way. Finally, and perhaps from a slightly more speculative point of view, could it be possible that alien life is simply coded differently at the base level, whatever that base level is? We know that life on Earth is based on DNA and RNA, but alternative biochemistries might exist, and some research therefore explores the possibility of extraterrestrial life using different genetic codes, which could, again probably...
I don't know, I just think that, like, the highest probability of life on other places
should
is going to be,
organisms
they're going to be
with
kind of
wholly
similar to
different
us.
features
I
distinct
don't know.
from anything found on Earth. Indeed, any and all of the above could combine in any number of ways to produce something that's entirely different from anything we might expect or
I think they're going to look just like this. Fucking long-ass neck. No eyes, no mouth.
recognize. And while we know that humans, as we are, have at least managed to eke out a living on this particular planet, and have at least managed to progress to this particular time and level, many have suggested that it's pure arrogance or ignorance to assume that anything else would take the same route. So let's head back to your imaginary meeting at the top of this video. True alien...
I don't think any of them would ever take the same route, but I think that you're going to end up, if you have a similar planet, yeah, because, okay, there are like ingredients you need to have life, right? You have to have a planet that is, or like intelligent life. You have to have a planet that's not too big, not too small, like Earth, where, you know, people are able to be bipedal, unless I guess like there could be a intelligent life that's a quadruped or whatever. But like you have to have all those things, and so there's so many things that have to be the same for there to really be like a good chance of even having life to begin with, that I feel like it makes sense. They'd have to have eyes, they'd have to have a mouth, they'd probably have a nose too. You know, what if they look like an animal? But they probably would. They'd have animals.
Life stands
Their
before
animals
you,
might not
if
look
it
just like our
stands at
animals,
all.
but
and you have to try to make sense of what you see, if in fact you can see it. If it were silicon-based, then there's really no telling what it would look like exactly, although popular depictions tend toward it having an intricate geometric form, or else being a transparent jewel-like entity. If it were an
that would be fucking huge.
extreme environments dweller, then it'll have to have adapted to survive whatever extremities it faces, such as the conditions inside a
Trianguloid
star, for
people.
example, which means it may have further evolved unique, heat-resistant, or pressure-tolerant features. And all of that before we've even considered the discrepancies that would occur on any creature from another planet simply due to changes in gravity or disparities in sunlight.
That would be
of
so
course,
cool, though.
given all that we've considered, it's also possible that what you'd be looking at from your perspective could also be nothing much at all. Life forms existing as gaseous entities, lacking a traditional solid or liquid makeup, may challenge our understanding of biology, but also might be common. On the face of it, these beings could exist inside the atmospheres of gas giants or nebulae, with their appearance defined by
How?
ever-changing patterns and colors. Whether or not a human could even truly grasp that such an alien were alive is another matter. It could be a similar case
Maybe
with
a
alien
microbe.
colonies. As human beings, and although we do have societies and civilizations, we consider ourselves to be individual life forms. There is some argument that this wouldn't be the case with an advanced enough alien, which would more likely and efficiently function as a collective
The
intelligence.
thing is about it, right? I don't think any aliens, kind of like this right here, I don't think any of them would ever be this different. Like, if they're in the same species, you're going to look generally similar. You know, you're still going to have DNA, whatever it is, RNA. You're still, like, they're going to have some form of that. So they're never going to be this different. Like, long-ass head and then just weird-looking head. Like, they're never going
Which
to
would
happen.
more likely and efficiently function as a
No way.
collective intelligence, Such colonies could naturally display intricate patterns, morphing shapes, and unique
No,
communication methods.
they don't have to look like us. And of course, if they're like based off of silicone, then they're probably gonna look different. But if you think about it, you need like there's gonna be what does everything have, right? What does every living organism have? Symmetry. Every living organism has symmetry. So we have two eyes. Our mouths, if you split it in half, each half they're symmetrical. You know, or like the most symmetrical that they can be. There, you know, there's gonna be a little bit of variance, right? The nose, symmetrical. Face, symmetrical. Whole body, symmetrical. 2 arms, 2 legs. So, no matter what it is, I feel like they're gonna be symmetrical too, right? And they're gonna have to see. Okay, I don't think that we're gonna be finding or if there's intelligent aliens, they're not gonna be fucking cyclopses. You know, they're not gonna have no eyes, or they could maybe, but I don't know. Like, it depends. If they didn't have to see, then they wouldn't have eyes. But they would still have to eat. Like, that's the thing, is like energy isn't just created, therefore you have to eat in order to have energy to move around and stuff, you know?
But again, would a plain old human being ever really understand what it was that they were looking at? Add the potential for energy-based life into the equation, that is, life that transcends a physical body entirely, and the picture gets even more difficult
I think we're
to
talking about
discern.
God.
Of course, until such time as alien life is discovered, predictions as to its appearance remain entirely speculative. But for now, what's clear is that while we might expect it to demonstrate at least some recognizable characteristics, it could also be entirely non-humanoid, and perhaps fundamentally different to any other life form we know of. The human form, far from being the pinnacle of evolution...
You see, it just wouldn't make sense for them to have, like, one arm, only one arm, you know? Like, it just wouldn't make sense for them to have one leg, you know? You have to have balance to move, right? You have to have, if there's a sun, and, you know, you have to have eyes to see. You have to have a mouth to eat. You have to have a nose. I mean, like, you don't have to have a nose because you can breathe through your mouth. But I feel like there's a reason why we have a nose. I don't really know the reason, but we have a nose for a reason, right? We have fingers so that we can grab things, right? Like, and these are all adaptations in order to help our survivability. It's not like we have all this stuff for no reason. And I feel like they would have to develop in some sort of way to help their survivability. And I feel like fingers would probably be on the list. You know, like, they're going to have to be able to pick stuff up, right? Like, you're going to have to be able to pick up food. You're going to have to be able to pick up stuff. If you're going to be intelligent, right? I'm sure that they're going to have to write. You know, they might not have 5 fingers. They might have 4 fingers or something. I don't know. It's just listen, I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass right now. You know what I'm saying? But
may just be one of countless potential configurations in the vast tapestry of the cosmos. It might not even be a particularly good configuration. And ultimately, that's why aliens may look nothing like us at all. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments.
no, the only thing is that he said that we have a mouth to talk, like, for communication. Didn't even mention that we have a mouth to consume food.